Right, so, Suella Braverman. We haven't talked about Leaky Sue in a while, have we? Surely she's been off being horrible somewhere, out the back of the number 10 garden, pulling the wings off of flies, perhaps, or scoffing cakes in front of the homeless, maybe, or stoning an RNLI lifeboat. I don't know. These are the things I can imagine her doing in her free time. You pick your own. But one thing that she has definitely done recently is break the law. Over 3 quid. Yes, she's been back at her very favourite pastime of making the lives of asylum seekers as miserable as she possibly can, and her particular target in this case has been children and pregnant women, because, of course, the most vulnerable of asylum seekers would be the preferred target, wouldn't it? All predators go after the weakest in the herd, after all, and those fleeing goodness knows what are her favourite type of red meat. So what's happened, Damo? What has she done? How has she broken the law? Well, it comes down to the incomes of asylum seekers that they are allowed to claim whilst they are here, which, before the knuckle draggers emerge from their caves and start bleating about stealing our jobs and claiming benefits all at the same time, they reckon as well their own diets of the Daily Express and the Murdoch Scum causing them to regurgitate such nonsense that no amount of Rennies can save you from the heartburn over. Asylum seekers are not allowed to work at all for the first year that they're here, that their claim is going through for asylum. Yes, first year. How long do these things take? Well, there's a backlog to these things, but a year, you think that's a bit excessive, don't you? Tory cuts and Brexit, red tape, mismanagement. It's a little wonder they want to deport them rather than accept they made a pig's ear of the whole situation, isn't it? How quickly could they get that list down to just put them on a plane and send them somewhere else? But there we go. After that first year, only asylum seekers in known shortage areas or with skills in known shortage areas in this country are then permitted to work. Now, I see this as stupid myself. Why should they not be able to work whilst they're here and waiting and contribute taxes into the economy while they're waiting, especially when there are shortages in our economy? But at any rate, those are the rules. The vast majority cannot work. Claiming benefits then? No, they can't do that either. In fact, they never have been able to. It's always been a bit of a misnomer, that. So what do they actually get to live on then? £45 per week per person if they are in shared housing from the Home Office, and just £9.10 per week if they're housed in hotels, something we know the Tories want to get people out of. There's a prison barge in Dorset with the name of some of these people on it, after all. £9.10 per person. That's not much to live on for a week, you might be thinking. You aren't going to get by with that, are you? How come they get so much less when they are in hotels? Well, they become completely reliant on what the hotels then provide for them in the way of food in this circumstance. And this amounts to basically the cheapest stuff the hotel can pretty much get away with providing them, with nutritional needs actually failing to be met. People there are living on chips, on stale sandwiches, on pasta, on mashed potato. There is a lack of the healthy food payments to those in hotels with which to supplement their diets with better quality food. And this has led to 5 such people bringing a case against Braverman, who was denying those in hotels these payments, which have affected young children and pregnant women. If they were allowed this payment as other asylum seekers and other accommodation get, we wouldn't see cases of children under 3 visibly getting thinner and more lethargic through malnutrition, and obviously the health impact on pregnant women should be obvious as well. That Braverman has said, see you in court, basically, for such things, for things to get this far, rather than recognise the damage being done to people's lives and health, is pretty depraved. But when you consider the healthy food payments amount to just £3 per week per person, it's even more pathetic. But then we do have to remember it's Suella Braverman we're talking about here. So anyway, 5 asylum seekers representing those affected by Braverman's penny pinching, basically, comprised of 3 people to whom support had been delayed, denying them anything, whilst 2 brought forth claims, as alluded to above, regarding pregnancy and young children. The case went to the High Court and they won. Surprisingly further is that I noted the judge in the case was usually Tory-friendly Justice Jonathan Swift, who is probably best known for recognising that legacy benefit recipients got short-shrifted over additional COVID payments that were paid to universal credit claimants, but still denied them the back payments, despite that, and also for ruling that deportations to Rwanda were legal before the ECHR stepped in and overturned that ruling. Well, this time, he actually ruled against the government, saying Braverman had broken the law in withholding payments of £3 a week to provide healthy food for children aged 1 to 3 and for pregnant women, ordering her to begin providing those payments to the thousands of people affected, He also ruled that the system Braverman was operating for dealing with asylum support payments was also unlawful due to the unacceptable delays in processing requests for said payments. Lawyers for the asylum seekers called the decision a victory for basic dignity and fundamental rights for people in hotels, which means that pregnant women and small children will get the additional payments which were unlawfully withheld from them. I think unless you're the sort of person who gets off on pulling the legs off spiders, you would agree with that assertion. However, there's no guarantee Braverman does. The Home Office haven't pledged to begin doing this yet. They're considering the court's findings and will respond in due course. So delays ruled illegal, but Braverman will delay some more, possibly with a mind even to go to the Supreme Court to argue the toss over £3, blowing more public cash on court action than it would probably cost to just cough up the money and pretend to be a decent human being for 2 minutes. I can't imagine the moment would last any longer in her case. In fact, I know it hasn't, because do you know her latest wisdom and idea? She is still desperate to get people out of hotels, after all. And prison barges are currently 1 out of 3 for the government, since the ones they hired to sit in Liverpool and Edinburgh, well, those cities decided they wouldn't be party to Tory cruelty, didn't want them, and turned them away. So now Braverman is getting tents in. She's literally bought 2,000 tents to put asylum seekers in. How warm, how secure, how flaming ridiculous can you get? The biggest question everybody should be asking right now, though, is for as much as she's determined to house people as horribly as possible, why are we still having to house so many? Why is the backlog in processing these claims not the bit that she's most focused on? Why is that not being dealt with? Since it is quite obviously the elephant in the room here. I've said it loads of times, and I'll say it again. Before we left the EU, we had a returns policy with them to share the burden of housing asylum seekers. We don't need to rejoin the EU to still have such a deal. Another one could be renegotiated. So why is this Tory government so fixated on Rwanda as the answer when it keeps getting stymied for the obvious reasons? That it is cruel, that it is a violation of human rights, a violation of the refugee agreements we have. And Rwanda simply isn't a safe third country. And just put the deal back in place with the EU again. It is willful incompetence right now, annoying British people for so many reasons. The cruelty, the fact we now have to house all of these people here, which has arguably encouraged more to try and get here, knowing if successful in their asylum claims, they'll get to stay in the UK instead of having that housing burden shared with other countries within the EU. That's all a direct consequence of Boris Johnson's turkey twizzler of an oven-ready Brexit deal, because he left it out. The priority for Braverman right now should be getting these support payments in place and sod going back to court and get this backlog dealt with. She's incapable, though. She's as determined to deport asylum seekers as she is to stick 2 fingers up to the EU. She cannot do the job because of her own innate hatred of the people she's responsible for and her addiction to being a poster girl for the hard right. It's tied her hands, and therefore her handling of the situation needs lifting. Weakling Sunak needs to remove her to get this problem dealt with, but weakling Sunak is beholden to Braverman's ERG faction, and therefore he can't. So this failure on asylum and immigration is going to continue. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the vid useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation for you where the desperation for new trade deals has led the Tories to sign up to one, where the only new market open to us for exports is to sell, amongst other items that we do produce, not that many really when you think about it, but one of them is whiskey to a Muslim country. I wonder how they get on. And I'll hopefully see you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.